Hello everyone, I hope you're doing okay. In this video, I'm gonna talk to you a bit about Vega and Vega-Lite and how they work, and show you how you can put visualizations on a HTML page. So based on what you have learned so far, we've been working for Vega-Lite. Vega-Lite is a grammar of interactive graphics, which technically turns JSON syntax to create visualizations. But Vega-Lite is built upon an onion-shaped structure, meaning that if this is Vega-Lite, when we are working with Vega-Lite, we are actually working with high-level JSON descriptions, as you can see here. So this is an example of a Vega-Lite description, which turns like this JSON is used to create a visualization, which is a bar chart, and has two data types. The X is a nominal axis, and the Y contains quantitative data fields. But Vega-Lite is built upon Vega itself. So inside this circle, there is a smaller circle called Vega, which is low-level JSON. And let me put this here, which is the core of Vega. Like when you type this and you have Vega and Vega-Lite libraries installed on your device, this code is then turned into something like this. Here, all the bits and details of the bar chart that you're going to see is described in JSON. If you want to purely work with Vega, you have lots of fields to fill, lots of input to define, variables to define. But by writing Vega-Lite, you just skip this part. What you see here, for example, on a HTML page, I also have this available on a GitHub repository, and I will share the link to the repository with you, but this is on my local device. What eventually turns your JSON description into this beautiful visualization is the SVG HTML canvas engine that it's in the core of this structure. This is SVG HTML canvas code. So in your second assignment, you were asked to create visualizations using SVG. So you already know how SVG works and how you can have how you can create visualizations using SVG on an HTML page. But in your recent lab, where Ali Reza talked about worked with Observable to create visualizations, we've been working with JavaScript. You used Observable. I don't have any visualizations here, but on Observable, you worked. Let me see if I can have an example here. Do we have D3 plot gallery? Yeah. So here, let's say if I open this. Here we worked with JavaScript code instead of working with JSON. So this adds another layer of abstraction to what we do here. So either in your third assignment using pure JavaScript code, or on Observable where you execute JavaScript code in cells, like these are cells. In these cells, you enter JavaScript code and then run them. You are adding another level of abstraction. So this is JavaScript code. So, for example, when I don't think this is a proper example, but let's have it for the sake of an example. When you have this JavaScript code, it turns into this high-level JSON, and this high-level JSON is turned into this low-level JSON, and then it's translated to SVG HTML canvas code, which is used then to render the visualization you see here. So the closer you get to this layer, you have more customization capabilities. And let me show you how you can have this on your web page. So here I have a really simple code. I have a index.html file. Let me just show you the GitHub repository. So here you can see that we have three main files: an index.html, a style.css, and a visualization.js. So your HTML file is a really simple file. You have to just make sure that you include these scripts, include these scripts in the header of your HTML file, so that the browser knows where to go and look for the libraries that you're using and use the code to render what you see on your browser. So make sure to include these. These are actually the sources where Vega, Vega-Lite, Vega-Lite API, Tooltip, and Embedded are stored. And also this part of the script, which helps render the data sets that you have on the code that you have. So your visualization, the description of your visualizations must be in this JavaScript file. I will explain all of these examples one by one. Just pay attention to the name of these visualizations, okay? VeloSpec 2. Okay, so here we put all of these specifications, all of these specs we render them into HTML elements, and then we use these IDs in the HTML file to show the HTML element here. So this div actually renders this visualization, and the specification to this visualization comes from this variable called VeloSpec, Vega-Lite VeloSpec. And I'm going to explain these one by one. So in your JavaScript code, you have to make sure that you have imported the dataset that you're working. Here I'm working with the video games VI dataset that you've also been given for your assignment 3. I have both of the datasets that I've chosen here under the data folder. So make sure that you have it written in your code. Then the first way of describing a visualization is to do it by pure JavaScript. So let me just enlarge this and close this here. So here I have defined a new variable called VeloSpec, and this is of type VL, which stands for Vega-Lite. Here I have told that this variable, this visualization, is a bar chart, and the data comes from this variable data, which I have defined here, and then coding follows these descriptions. I have a y-axis, which is called platform, and it's sorted, and I have an x-axis, which represents global sale, and the value of this variable is equal to the aggregate of the sum of the sales. And after defining the encoding, I have set the width of the visualization to be equal to the container's width. So here you see that this visualization is covering the whole width compared to this one, which is a square shaped diagram. And at the end of the specification, I have this toSpec command, which helps us to render this here. But this is not the only way. Like these two first visualizations are described using pure JavaScript, but this is not the only way of doing it. You can actually define the JSON, this Vega-Lite JSON that I showed you here, this level of abstraction, which we saw the example here. You can describe the whole JSON by yourself. So here, I'm working with the other data set, which is a data set gathered from cars. So each data point in this data set contains these fields: name, miles per gallon, number of cylinders, the horsepower, weight in total, acceleration, and etc. etc. So here in this example, I have explicitly described the JSON myself. Okay, so I have set the description. I have told Vega-Lite to read the data from here, and the mark of the data, it's point. As you can also see here, we have a point chart. Okay, and I have set fields here. The x-axis is the horsepower. As you can see here, and the y-axis is miles per gallon. I can change it here. Like, I can change this field to be like this to remove the unnecessary underlines here, miles per gallon. So if I save it and come here, you can see that it has changed. Okay, although I suppose that the name should match the data set, otherwise it cannot read it from the data set. Okay, you can change it, but it cannot read it from the JSON. And I have explicitly set the color and the tooltip. The tooltip, when I hover over data points, you can see what data it's showing. So I can, for example, remove this one here, which contains the origin, and only have name and year. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Or I can do it like, I can change the width to be equal to the container, and when I change it, we can see that it's covering the whole width of the container. And you can also do a mix of both. This last example is doing it half by declaring the JSON explicitly, and the other half using the JavaScript code. So first, I have defined the JSON variable here, naming it encoding spec5, and here I have declared this variable, and in the middle of assigning different attributes to this variable, I have set to read. I have told JavaScript to read the encodings from this JSON. So technically, I'm saying to set the encoding, go check this JSON variable, and from this JSON variable, go and read all the fields under encoding key, all the values under this key, which is encoding. And for example, here we have different data points. These are filled here, and we can see that there is a bit of transparency here, which is due to setting the opacity here to 0.6. If I set it to 0.2, we can see that they have pale colors. And if I set the opacity to 1, we can see that these are like solid dots here, and we don't have any tooltip because we didn't define any tooltip. We could have done it. Let me see. Tooltip. We had. Okay. Yeah. So we can either define it explicitly here, or we can do this actually here, if I'm right. So let's have a tooltip this is not necessarily the best way of doing it. I would like to just show you that you can play with it. If you want to customize anything, it's up to you. You can either change the JSON directly yourself, or you can use the JavaScript class attributes. So here I'm gonna, like the autocomplete is helping me to add this tooltip here, but I don't want to repeat it again, so I'm gonna choose acceleration here instead of the origin acceleration. So let me come here and say I would like to have acceleration, which is nominal. And if I save it, and here I should say you should read the tooltip from encoding spec.encoding spec5.tooltip. And if I check my code here, what's the problem here? We must have a, oh, there must be an issue with this. So I realized that I've been making the mistake here to add the tooltip instead of using .tooltip here. This is wrong syntax because tooltip is not a function here. What I have to do is to just add the tooltip to the mark point here. So I'm using this mark point function, which also responsible for handling whether there's a tooltip or not. So I set the tooltip to true, which means that we must have a tooltip, and it automatically goes and reads the tooltip specifications from this JSON as I have described here. So yeah, this is how you should do it for yourself. Obviously these are really simple examples. I just wanted to show you that if you want to have visualizations on an HTML page, what you have to do, make sure to include these scripts in the header, make sure to have these IDs assigned in your JavaScript code, and as far as you can, please don't ask AI to write the code for yourself entirely. Like, you can write the codes for the first few times, then after you get the hang of it, you can ask AI to do it for you, because these initial steps is for you to explore around. We definitely don't expect you to come up with like flawless visualizations. We definitely value creative ones, but we don't expect you to have everything sorted out in your first assignments, in your first time working with Vega-Lite or JavaScript. But pay attention, like put focus more on exploring yourself and thinking outside of the box. It was a really short introduction on using Vega-Lite. I will share the link to the GitHub repository with you, and I hope that you enjoy your exploration with JavaScript and Vega-Lite.